And we are back. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, WatchYoMouthReviews. This is your boy James, where today I'm here to give you my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. It is not going to happen on this video, but that's okay. We'll live to fight another day. Joining me is my co-host, Mrs. Belle. I'll say what's up to her.
Hi, everybody. Like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. You guys, please subscribe to Mrs. Best's channel. I forgot to say this. Any videos or recaps that I don't cover on my channel, it's because we cover her channel. She just picked up This Is Polly. We just did a live for that earlier today. You guys go ahead and check that out. And then later on, we'll be live on our joint channel, Watch Your Best Friends, to kind of segue more into the topic of relationships that are triangle, or if they're just, propose solutions to different situations. I have a couple of movies in mind that kind of are preemptive of that and that mentality. So hopefully you guys stick around so you'll see that. But today, this is my last live on my channel, which is Belle Collective Birmingham. Y'all, this is the reunion. They're only getting a one-part reunion. Remind you guys, they only has 7 episodes of the whole entire season. Last week, I did a live. It was a random unpopular opinion. And I gave, my opinions about who was best dressed and who was worst dressed. My best dress, I gave it to Amber. And my worst dress, I actually gave it to Stormy. So seeing it live, I will say that I'm still gonna give my best dress to Amber just because out of all the other people, she didn't look as harsh. She looked very nice. So I'm gonna give it to Amber still. My worst dress, I'm actually still going to give it to Stormy. I get what she was trying to do. She was trying to be Storm from the X-Men. Is it the X-Men series or something like that? She was trying to channel that. I just think that it was not executed well at all. The outfit looked way too tight on her. So I think she executed it horribly. Mrs. Best, are you still keeping your best and worst dress?
I actually don't think that Funmi is worst dressed anymore. I actually really liked Funmi's look. It's just one of those looks you have to see not in a still shot, and you have to see it in full. I liked Funmi's look, so I'm not going to say that she is the worst dressed. I'm going to give worst dressed to Amber.
Okay.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't special. It definitely gave something my grandmother will wear to the revival.
Okay.
And her wig was really stiff. Whoever laid her wig, I didn't like Amber's wig.
And are you keeping your best dress, which was Kayla?
I'm gonna actually give best dress to Funmi.
Okay. Okay. You see how this goes, y'all? Y'all see how this goes? Like, we say one thing, we see it in picture, and then when we see it later on, we could change our mind. Fumi was actually her worst dress, and it'll be becoming her best dress. Ain't that something? That's what happened. So that's why we say we come back when the reunion airs. We see it live. We see when they're sitting down, which is, the premise of the whole reunion looks is gotta look great sitting down. And we judge it from there. So I'm still going to keep mine. And Mrs. Best has changed hers. So yes, we're going to go ahead and go on with the reunion. They were trying to cram a lot of different things, you guys, into one reunion special. I thought that was poorly done. I felt like even though we got 7 episodes, because they showed us a lot of things that were not seen in the season, that kind of had this reunion going in a different direction, I did not like it. And I felt like, okay, I get you can't put everything in the 45-minute slot, but I felt like everything they were putting in the things that we did not see, which is they did a lot through this reunion. I felt like we needed more explanation for a lot of the controversies and things that have happened. We needed more explanation. So maybe they could have did a 2-part reunion just so that way y'all could explain the things we did not see and the things that we did not know of prior to, us having an opinion about it throughout the whole season. Mrs. Best, did you feel that same way or was it just me?
I'm doing laundry, my bad. What'd you say?
No, I said that this reunion, a lot of the takes were a lot of the things we did not see in the season. Do you feel that they should have maybe did two parts to kind of explain away, since they did that primarily focused on the thing?
No. Here's the thing that you gave them 7 episodes for their first season. Usually people get 8 to 10. You only gave them 7 episodes. There's only so much we can do. They didn't get the opportunity to argue about anything outside of the mop, really. And anything outside of the mop that was a point of contention felt forced between Amber and Kylan trying to have a moment. But no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And speaking of the mop situation, that does get addressed because, like Carlos and everybody else in the world, we don't understand how there was so much controversy dealing with a mop and everything. So Tiffany said that it was never meant to offend her. It was just more so, it was a joke about, cleaning up. Well, at least that's what she said in the season. Now, here it turned into, it was more so like, hey, like, I'm joking with you, but I'm serious. I didn't know where Tiffany was going with this. I was like, okay, she was offended. You could have said, hey, I didn't mean to offend you. I was being funny, but I guess it's not funny. I'm still getting to know you, friend. Please don't take anything I do personal. I feel like if Tiffany would have led with that, maybe we would have had a different outlook, but that's not what she did. And I get why Stormy was frustrated with that whole situation. But they spent a lot of time on this mop situation, and I just want to dead it. Tiffany was wrong for even insinuating that someone should have to mop up an event when she owns a commercial cleaning business. I said this from day one. My opinion has not changed. Point blank in the period. This was really ridiculous that this had to go on. And as I said, Miss Mayer's wife needed to be there too to explain why she felt the way about Stormy and was projecting all of that, about Stormy's money and everything. I felt like Miss Mayer's wife needed to be there too. Just saying. But as far as the mop
I
thing, it was good.
agree. She
It
started
was
a lot of shit and should have been there. She could have answered for why she's so messy in politics.
I would be sad if Kayla did not come back. Hi, DM Rocks. Thank you for being here. Hi, Dr. Jim Bunny. Thank you for being here. Dr. Jim Bunny, please chime in at any time. Say what you need to say. But yeah, I feel like Miss Mayor, we were missing Miss Mayer's wife. I feel like she started a lot of this shit. She needed to be here. But one of the things, I'm not going to go in order of what they did, because as I said, there was a lot of things that we did not see at the beginning part of this episode that I feel like they could have snuck in some kind of way. For Stormy's event, that with Lala was a very first celebrity apprenticeship that she is given. Tiffany had made the insinuation that a lot of the girls were falling under Stormy and being her minions and were paid to do the actual appearance with Stormy's live, her TikTok live. Now, the ladies confirmed that they weren't even on that stage for 5 minutes. They were not paid. That Stormy did do an event where if they were on camera longer than 30 minutes, that she did pay them and paid them very well. So she don't know where Tiffany got that from. And Stormy said, you were just mad because you weren't there. You had to go to Atlanta. You had to do a whole day trip to Atlanta because you weren't invited to the event. I thought that was unfair of Tiffany to insinuate that the ladies were being paid, and then that then makes them minions. I also would have been offended by that, because if I'm showing up to support somebody, that doesn't mean I'm a minion just because you may have thought I may have been paid for it. That's rightful compensation if I was paid for it because I showed my face. And to be honest, nobody really knows. Outside of Fumi, I didn't know anybody else. I recognized Fumi from something, but I did not know where I recognized Fumi from. But I thought that was crazy that Tiffany would insinuate that. Mrs. Best, how'd you feel when Tiffany insinuated the ladies were paid by Stormy to show up on their TikTok event for 5 minutes, and that's why she wasn't invited?
I think Tiffany is just reaching, and you could tell that she prepared to have excuses for things that the fans were not happy with her about.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to allege anything. You just insulted everybody on the cast.
Yep.
Like, you're sitting here trying to have a moment, because I think Tiffany is low-key trying to have a moment with Stormy because Stormy is the head of the show and why people are watching. And I started to realize that in an interview she did with No Chaser TV. I think she intentionally wanted a problem with Stormy because now people are going to talk to her about it. Like, who was bold enough to do this? However, it's not going in her favor because now you done offended the entire cast. You look like you were trying to intentionally be divisive between the friendships that Stormy had already, and anybody that was kind to her and didn't have a problem with her as a minion and wants to be paid. Is giving jealousy. These are not statements that most people would think about unless they're jealous. Because let's keep it real. If Tiffany owned a business, a real one, instead of some cheap ass t-shirts that she's trying to make it overcharge, then she wouldn't think twice about Stormy involving people, because she would be involving people in her business. And that's why I feel like OWN be getting stuff wrong with these casts. It's given Tiffany as Letitia Pearson. She ain't the real entrepreneur in this cast. So she always gonna be looking for a reason to hate on somebody or be messy. That's just what it's given. If you're gonna build a show around successful Black entrepreneurs, then let them all be that. And we, for the most part, have all of that with the exception of Tiffany.
Yeah, for the most part. Dean Rock said, I would say put the mayor's wife and Sonetta on the cast next season if Kayla does not come back. I don't want Miss Mayor's wife there. I mean, I'll take her, but at the same time, it's going to be hard for me to separate Miss Mayor's wife from Kendra. It's going to be very hard for me to do that. So if Miss Mayor's wife does come back, she gonna and it's being as messy as she was this first season, because she was more messier than anybody on the cast. For her to just be Tiffany's friend, Miss Mayor's wife was extremely messy, and she was only in like 2 episodes. So I'm just looking at this like, if Miss Mayor's wife comes back, I'm gonna let y'all know it's gonna be hard for me to separate Miss Mayor's wife from Kendra. Just saying. Sonetta, I felt like was already a full-time cast member. I don't understand why she wasn't there either. Because I needed her to explain what she told Tiffany, since we saw it, but I wanted to see what she actually said outside of what we didn't see. Because that was a lot of ammunition that Tiffany had based on something Sonetta allegedly said. That's all I'm going to say. We then go over to Fumi. We saw the scene where Fumi's storyline has been she wants to move out of her neighborhood. She, saw this $2 million home that y'all already know her husband said they is not going over there. They're not going to do all this. There's too much. He didn't say it was too much money, but he just said it's a lot. We still have not sold our home yet. So how the hell can we do this? Y'all already know I got in Fumi's ass about this because I felt like that was ridiculous of her, what she did. So Carlos said, okay, so where are we with the house situation now? So we learned that Fumi put an offer on the house, but the offer was not accepted. Essentially, it was a contingent offer. They just strewed away with it altogether. So they are still house hunting. Carlos asked Fumi, is she aware of her finances? She says, no, I'm given a monthly allowance. And then when that is all gone, which is usually within a week, then I go over to our American Express card or another Visa or something, and then I get to swiping. And he asked Stormy, is that how it works for you? Stormy says, no. I mean, look, they seem happy with each other. They seem like it works for them. That's not our dynamic. And no, I don't need permission to buy anything from anybody. So, Fumi, I have to say, this is given very much Dr. Wendy Osefo. Like, this is given very much, I could not live in that kind of delusion, and that's what that is. Sorry, I have to say that. I cannot live in that type of delusion. I need to know how money is spent. I need to know how money is made. I need to know what comes in my house and goes out my house. I don't, I get he may make a lot of money, her husband, I'm saying. He may make a lot of money, but that doesn't mean that you should know how much your mortgage is. Like, that's crazy that you don't know the amount. You don't know what your utilities cost. You don't know what your car costs. And the fact is, after your allowance is spent, you then go into an American Express card to spend more money. It's given very much Dr. Wendy Osefo. Like, it really is. Mrs. Best, how do you feel about Fumi and her explaining her household?
Everybody's household is different. I'm kind of with Stormy on it. If that's what works for her and her household, that's what works for her and household. I will say this, when I was not working and my husband was the only income, I did know how much the rent was. I did know when bills were due. You should always know who you pay and how much you got to pay and when it's due. But Fumi gives, she one of them African ladies that just want to come on here and look like she got it because she's on TV. I wouldn't be surprised if this show makes it to a season 5 if her and her husband owe something in taxes or struggle financially, because it doesn't make sense how they move. They want to go live in the white neighborhoods instead of the affluent black neighborhoods. And she got to let us know that she's swiping credit cards left and right. And it's given she trying to flex. That's the only thing about Fumi I don't like. Stop trying to flex.
I agree 110% because to me, it's not worth it in the end. And something that Tiffany did say, like trying to keep up with Stormy and all this kind of stuff, they see all of this. And it's like, yeah, I do agree with that. I do think that there is a part of her that is trying to keep up with the Joneses. And it's not becoming of you because at the end of the day, you weren't able to get in that $2 million house. You know, your husband is telling you, hey, we cannot do this, even though you feel you should. It's like you're not disciplined when it comes to finances, and being married, that's dangerous when you're not financially disciplined because there's two of you, not just one of you. And I would love to see that American Express bill. I'm just saying. I would love to see that. But that's all we really got with Fumi. You know, my wish is that, you know, hopefully she gets exactly what she asked for and God continues to bless her. That's all I'm going to say. Next, we have Kayla. So Kayla, you know, Carlos was very shocked to learn her history and, you know, her marriage. And once again, Kayla has gone over this story a million times. It's the same story. So I'm happy to hear it. It's still troublesome. Still. So she said she met her husband when she was 17 years old. They got married 11 days after her 18th birthday. And shortly after that, she had her first baby. So she really did not understand herself and know each other until she turned 30 and started to see things a little bit differently. That's when, you know, she decided to go ahead and split from her husband and just decided to live her life. And then got a man that is now 17 years older than her. So she pretty much just repeated a pattern, except this man is a little bit different than her husband. So she didn't explain in what ways he was different. I guess that may not have made the cutting room floor, but she said that she's happy where she is and she's learning who she is. A lot of the women were crying hearing Kayla's story because, you know, she was robbed of a lot of youth and innocence. She was trying to be some man's wife. That is hard on anyone, but we have to understand that is a choice that she made, regardless of how young or impressionable as she was. Sometimes you do have to live with that you made a choice to live that life. I'm sure she doesn't regret it because she has beautiful children. But at the same time, you know, my hope for Kayla is that she doesn't repeat the same pattern. And it seems like she's going in that direction. I could be wrong. Mrs. Best, how do you feel about hearing about Kayla?
You know, it is what it is. She's going to date how she dates. I think she knows her childhood and stuff was robbed. Carlos did a terrible job at this reunion. He definitely could have asked more questions, took that as an opportunity to bond the Bells, to have them all say positive things. But I like Kayla. I wouldn't mind if she came back. That's about all.
Okay. So speaking of Kayla, the situation when Amber gets brought up. And Amber says that, you know, that Kayla threw a, you know, slight shade and act like she didn't know her and act like it was, you know, when they had that event, you know, she skated right past her. And Kayla was all like, that is bullshit and you're a liar. That is not what happened. I invited you to an event. We were cool. And then when we had Stormy's event, I may not have recognized you, but I didn't see you. Even Amber said, yeah, you may not just recognize me. She goes, yeah, we never had an issue. You made it an issue when we got on this show and these cameras. And I actually believe that because I said that episode 1. I was like, well, could it have been a situation where she does not recognize you? Maybe. I've had situations where I've known people for years. And when I went into a room, I had a friend, I knew her from regular day, like sweatpants and a t-shirt. And when I saw her at an event, she was dressed up, makeup. It was crazy as hell, big ass hair. I did not recognize her until she opened her mouth and I saw her teeth and everything. I said, oh, okay, now I know it's you. But she had got mad at me because I had walked right past her and didn't say hi. And I was like, well, I didn't recognize you. I know you from regular day. I don't know you from a whole bunch of makeup on your face and a big ass hair. I don't know all of that. So, and I said it to say, I felt like Amber was reaching with this bullshit storyline for Kay. Now, Kayla was wrong with the whole insinuation of drugs with the niece comment. I will give her that. And I do think that there is moments where Kayla does act ditzy and act like she don't know stuff. So the situation, it wasn't that deep. And that's why I was mad at Amber. Because I kind of felt like, okay, you're reaching. Because even when Amber was explaining episode 1, it didn't make fucking sense. It was like, Amber, come on. And I said this from day one. That does not make sense to me. Like, she's do shade or she slide at you because she did, or she will walk past you and then see you or something like that. It was like, well, maybe she don't know you. So maybe she don't recognize you to say, hey, like, oh my God, yes, I remember you. She probably was not like that. So I just felt Amber was definitely still reaching in this moment. I'm glad they were
Easily
able to
forget
resolve it.
to have
Hmm?
a problem with somebody. I think for the storyline of the show, and I feel like that's why her and Stormy did not end the show as close as they started it out. Because
Mhm.
Amber went from that stupid pretend issue with Kayla, because like you said, if someone don't know you, of course it's gonna take a while before they recognize you, especially with Black women. When we be changing wigs, hairstyles, weaves, and all types of stuff,
Exactly.
we could look like a different person depending on the hour. It was stupid. She dropped that beef after she saw that Stormy and everybody was not going to side with her. And then she started the bullshit about Kylan and her cousin and leading in with that. So I just feel like Amber was just looking for a way to be relevant all throughout the season. I also felt annoyed when she cried at Tiffany and Stormy's issue because she really didn't do shit. She just sat there and let Tiffany encourage her, in my opinion, to not be friends with somebody that she's close with and who also employs her. But Amber's a pick me. I think if anybody gets replaced, she can be replaced.
I don't think she should be on the show. I think it's too much of a conflict of
She
interest.
didn't handle conflict well. She works for Stormy. She's wishy washy as fuck from what I see. She also seems weak minded because it does look like, because Tiffany kept saying to her, but I'm your friend too. Like you could tell that Tiffany is putting her in a space to choose, and then she's putting, it seems like what Tiffany's making her feel about having to choose, she's putting that on Stormy. I don't feel like that's all fair. I just feel like you're right. It is a conflict of interest. She shouldn't be on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Dixie Kayla. Hey, American Born, thank you for coming back. I appreciate you. I wonder if Amber is getting paid. Yeah, she's getting paid. She getting paid from the show, or she getting paid from Stormy. Now, the show money may not be all of that because, mind you, this is their first season. A lot of times with a lot of different shows, unless you on Love Island, from what I understand, Love Island pays extremely well your first season. But if you own shows like Belle Collective, any own show, you're not getting paid that much. You're not. I'm pretty sure Stormy pays her a great salary. Yeah. But yeah, she can go. Amber can go because I felt like she shouldn't have been here in the first place. I feel like Signetta or Miss Mayer's wife can have her spot. That's how I feel. Sinetta likes to move around and be messy on the sidelines. Sinetta, bring your ass on the show and be a main cast member so we can read you appropriately. And Miss Mayer's wife, you can bring your ass here too. We just want to make sure you do some philanthropy, later on. I want to see if Miss Mayer's wife come on this show. I better see her passing out food to the homeless. I better see her volunteering. I better see her picking up trash on the highway and getting the other girls to come in. I better see all that with Miss Mayer's wife if she decides. Something tell me Miss Mayer's wife ain't gonna be back. Some tell me, some just tell me my spirit. If we see Miss Mayer's wife, it's not gonna be how it was first season.
Miss Mayer's wife been dragged from Facebook to Twitter to Threads to in people's grannies' households because everybody grandma love these shows on OWN. I'm trying to tell you, Miss Mayer's wife is gonna take her time coming back because
Yep.
I really feel like her and Tiffany are very aware of the opinions of them. I know some people are on Tiffany's side, but when it comes to the mayor's wife, everybody called out how messy that bra was. Because why? Don't you have a fundraiser or something, a coat drive for the kids? And instead, you stirred up bullshit in front of the Civil Rights Museum. Shame on her.
I'll try to tell you. So yeah, Amber could go, but yeah, as I said, Sinetta need to be in Amber's spot. That's who should have been on the show. I'm just saying, it must have been something funny going on with Sinetta because she was everywhere. I was being ashamed about that. But yeah, so we then move on. Tiffany calls out Kayla for knowing about the mop incident, but acting like when she went to dinner with Tiffany and Miss Mayer's wife that she didn't know anything. So Kayla confesses, yes, I did know about it, but I acted as if I did not know because I wanted to get your point of view of the story. I only had Sinyetta's, who, was there, but was not one of the people that was involved in it. I had already spoke to Stormy. She gave me her feelings, and I was only trying to be fair to you. Now, did I handle it appropriately? No. I probably should have said, hey, let me get your point of view of the story as well. So that way I can kind of make a fair assessment. And I thought that's what Kayla was doing. I didn't think that she didn't know about the situation. But Tiffany, I challenge you with this question. If Kayla would have told you, hey, Stormy already told me what happened, but I want your point of view as well. Do you think you would have had a different reaction? I'm just so curious because I don't think you would have. I think you would have acted that exact same way that you did when y'all were sitting there at that table. I think you and Miss Mayor's wife already had your opinion about Kayla and was using anything and everything you could to dismiss her. I don't think that you would have felt like if she would have told you the truth that you would have been as open as you were at this reunion. I don't believe that for a second. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. Mrs. Best, do you believe that if Kayla would have came at Tiffany direct with that honesty, that Tiffany would have welcomed that with open arms?
No, Tiffany is a mean girl. She has her own
Mm.
agendas. It's just when she gets caught, she deflects on the other person as a way to keep people distracted. She ain't slick.
Yeah, she's not. And I thought that was very, I thought she was bullshitting, sitting up there. And I thought that that was very terrible. And Kayla better than me. Because she said, see, I respect your honesty, Kayla. I don't have no issue with you. I just want you to be honest. And it was like, okay, well, if I would have been honest, you still would have had the same reaction. So it didn't really matter in the first fucking place. And one, I wasn't there and didn't have shit to do with it. So you should have just told me just off the strength of, hey, why don't you hear my side versus me having to pry you to get your side of the story because you're the one who fucking said it in the first place. But Tiffany is weird. So to wrap this up, because as I said, a lot of this shit, they were really, it was very, like I said, it was a mishmash of shit we didn't see and shit we did see. So we then come up with this whole Last Supper thing, and we have this behind the scenes or something that did not make the editing room floor of Fumi saying that she actually did not like the fact that Stormy did this Last Supper dinner. She was very adamant about how she felt about the pieces, and she felt like it wasn't anything of godliness and everything of that sort that she knows God to be. I think that that's something they should have put in the show. I feel like that was something that I wish production would have put in the show because then maybe it would have gave the perspective because Fumi to me, especially when it came to the foot washing shit, was full of shit then. I think this would have probably swayed my opinion. Okay, so she really didn't like the event at all. Because I really was like looking at Fumi sideways at that event. So if they would have kept this in here, then maybe I would have been more endeared to Fumi's reaction to the whole thing. So after they addressed that in the moment. They were like, hey, Stormy, did you feel like, Fumi's point was valid? She goes, yeah, if that's how she sees the whole situation, then absolutely. Like the Last Supper was supposed to be me mending things and showing humility and everything. And then, once again, her and Tiffany go at it again. And I'm about sick of her and Tiffany. I don't even want to go over the drama because it's really petty at this point. Tiffany, you're hating. Point blank in the period. You are hating. Even though, Stormy, you did bring up your money situation earlier. I forgot to mention that. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this without my notes because, as I said, it wasn't much of anything. But even though Stormy did bring up her money, talking about she made so much money and this and that, and Tiffany said, I want to talk to your character, not about your money. And then Stormy tried to flip it on her. I said, well, Stormy, you did bring up your money first, baby. You did kind of do that. So, I mean, I don't know what you want us to do with that. It does kind of look like, even though I don't agree with Miss Mayor's wife and Tiffany's assessment of you, it did seem like in that moment you did bring up your money only to throw it back in Tiffany's face. But Tiffany just wants to know who Stormy is, and I think that that's bullshit. I think you know exactly who this lady is. I think that there's a part of you that is just hating. I think that there's a part of you that's hating, not necessarily that you want to be her, but it's like you're not the queen bee anymore. This one can flaunt her wealth and this one can flaunt everything, and people will gravitate to that more, other than this, spiritual Christianity, every Bible study every Tuesday at your couch situation. I think Tiffany wants to be the head girl in charge. And with Stormy pitching the show and Stormy being this, the center person, that doesn't provide that for Tiffany. I just don't think that. I think that that's really what this is. And to me, Tiffany, there's a way you could play that game without actually making you look like a hater. Not Cruella. Oh, Cruella Deville. Dr. Jim, but that is so crazy. So, Mrs. Best, how do you feel? What do you think the real issue is with Tiffany and Stormy? I gave my opinion. What do you think the real issue is between those two?
Tiffany's a jealous, fake, nice Christian hoe. That's all. You probably nailed it right there uh, with what you said. I think Tiffany thought because she knows the mayor of Birmingham, the show is named after Birmingham, and she's running prayer groups and seemed to have a friendship with everybody on the cast, with the exception of Funmi and Kayla. I think she thought that she would come in and have more power than she did. But a lot of these ladies did. Like Amber has to respect Stormy, and Fumi at times does give somebody that a kiss the ass of whoever's the most successful. So I think some of Tiffany's assessment was correct. The problem is the bigger issue, and the real problem is that Tiffany is jealous. And it sucks when you come on TV and you think you're somebody, especially after your viral proposal. And she kept trying to remind us that she's Ricky Smiley's niece, like we care. And it's just one of those things where I think she thought she would be much more well received, popular, that girl, and she's just not. Instead, she looked like a it character.
I just think that this isn't high school. Like, this is not, y'all are grown women, all doing all different things. And the fact that you think you need to be the queen bee, and when you see somebody actually doing that, and their momentum is like, hey, I don't need you around, and you get slighted by that, it's like, yeah, lady, you're not it. All of y'all got to put on your pants one leg at a time, just like anybody else would. You're not bigger than this show, Tiffany. Sit it on down somewhere. She is funny looking for sure. I try not to go off her looks or anything, but it's just the way she holds her head and the way she holds her mouth and her lips. It's like it's constantly looking like somebody who is wanting to take a bite out of a sandwich. Like, it just looks like that to me.
Let's just call a spade a spade. Tiffany ain't cute in the face, and her husband love her, and she move like she feel like she real cute in the face. She needs to stop behaving how she behaves. The worst thing she could have done is come on television being a Christian that was the nastiest and the meanest, and just focused on all the things that the Bible say you should not focus on, including envy. So I don't know. I don't think Tiffany will ever be the type on TV to admit when she is wrong, which is what makes her good TV. But listen, would rather be a villain and somebody who has a point and purpose to come back than Amber, who just sitting on the sidelines hiding in her truth from her mama.
Right. Exactly. So Stormy and Amber have a moment where Stormy wishes that Amber would have intervened because she is close with Stormy, she is close with Tiffany, and maybe that would have prevented them from going at each other the way they did at this reunion. I do agree with that. I do feel like because she is good friends with both of them, that she could have intervened better. But then at the flip side of it, I don't know. Was Amber there at couples night? I don't remember. I don't remember if she was there at couples night. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I do feel like I do agree with Stormy. I do feel like Amber could have mended them a little bit better since she was the person that introduced them and she spoke so highly of Tiffany. The fact that there was a moment where these two actually went at each other very heavily. I just feel like, yeah, Amber could have stepped in a little bit more, but Amber had her own shit going on. She was trying to, get her eggs together and get, all this. So, I don't know. I don't know. Mrs. Best, do you feel like Amber could have intervened more? I don't know. I'm kind of conflicted. Like, to me, I don't feel like Amber should have been here in the first place. That's my opinion.
Amber should have done more. She definitely should have done more, off the simple fact that I would have been like, listen, I've known Stormy longer, one, or I would have been telling Tiffany if I was Amber, listen, that's my boss. I can't get involved, but I really encourage you to please figure it out because she's not like this. Amber didn't do nothing. She just kind of let stuff be. She let them both talk about each other to her. Amber didn't do anything. And I'm not saying I dislike Amber, but you're on a reality television show. If you can't get with confrontation and you too scary to tell your friends how you feel about something, then you don't need to be on the show. You don't, because Tiffany just had yes men around her. That's all she had.
Shani said, "Do y'all think Amber could have stopped Stormy when she was going off on Tiff?" No, I don't think she could have. That's why I'm conflicted. I feel like even if Amber intervened, I feel like Stormy still would, because once again, this is a subordinate to Stormy, regardless of them being friends. I don't think that Stormy would have been able to separate the two. And I don't think that Amber, I feel like Amber was playing it safe by not saying anything, but with playing it safe, now you have two friends that are combating and expecting you to be on their side. Not so much
And they're
Stormy, but I
playing
think
it safe
Tiffany.
too. She allows Tiffany to manipulate the situation and make
Yes.
it look like something that is not. Because
Yes.
Amber's playing it safe, and Tiffany's gonna view that as her just aligning with Stormy, and Stormy doesn't do that. Because Amber tried to throw shade at the reunion, talking about I text Stormy all the time, and she maybe texts me back 1 out of 4 times. So it's like obviously Amber came to the reunion feeling some type of way towards Stormy, and it seems like it has to do with Tiffany. She can just go. I hate a bird.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that either. I forgot about that too. I feel like for me, when it comes to Stormy, I don't once again, I do think that she was playing the safe, but I also feel like to me, she was trying to make Stormy the issue. If there was a demise between them two, I think she wanted to make Stormy the issue, and I feel like a lot of that came from Tiffany. I feel like her and Tiffany definitely had prior conversations. Tiffany already had preconceived notions going into this reunion, and I think that Amber was the only other person that she could have on her side, even though Amber has to be objective because you fucking up her money at the end of the day, Tiffany, if she does side with you. So I don't know. Like I don't think that she could have stopped. I honestly I don't think she could have. I don't think it would have made a difference. To be honest, that's why I said I'm conflicted because I don't think Amber intervened would have made a difference. I feel like Stormy was still going to do what she
It
was
was
going to
at
do.
her house. If you
Yeah.
disrespect my friend in their house, regardless on if I'm friends with the other person, when you in somebody's house, it's whatever the person in the house feels they need to do because it's their property. You know? So in the situation of her being at the house, I would have stood there too. There's not much you can do. And Amber did make the attempt to try and talk to Stormy and calm her down, but by the time that she did, it was just too little too late. Stormy told her to get the hoe.
Very much true. Okay. So that was pretty much the reunion. Tiffany and Stormy do sort of, kind of do a little kumbaya, which was fine. Um, so my questions to everybody in the chat, my replay game, shout out to y'all, like, comment, subscribe. Do you think this show will be back? So that's my first question. Mrs. Best, do you think this show will be back?
I think they'll come back once. And I think the way that they do in their second season will determine if they'll continue coming back. I think a lot of the Love and Marriage Huntsville fans kind of fucked it up a little bit. A lot of them seem to have existing biases that they let lead in the show. I think people should give the show a shot and try to forget about the Stormy that they remember from Love and Marriage Huntsville and just give it a shot as if she's a new person with a whole new cast. But I do think they'll come back.
Okay. My next question to you is if you can eliminate one person. Oh, wait, that would be Amber. What am I talking about? Okay. So I'm going to actually rephrase the question. If you can bring one person from another TV show, like let's say, for example, if I would bring Destiny onto this show, who would you bring out of Stormy's friend group from Love and Marriage Huntsville onto this show? And do you need a list of people? Because I was watching somebody else and somebody else posed this question. I forgot who that person was, by the way. Um, Someone said that they would bring Melody on this show. And I thought that was highly interesting. I was like, not Melody on Belle Collective Birmingham. Could y'all see Melody on Belle Collective Birmingham? And I could actually see her being buddy buddy with Tiffany, actually. I could see that. Not the name Sonetta sounds so familiar. Carlos will keep anything on TV if he can. Yep, that's true. I think we lost Mrs. Best. Where's your other girl,
Did you
James, that you
ask me
like the
a
other?
question?
I did. I said if you could bring anybody from Love and Marriage Huntsville on the Bell Collective Birmingham, because somebody had brought up
I
like
wouldn't. I feel like all of those people on that show are not meant for reality TV, with the exception of Destiny. So I guess I'd bring Destiny.
you would bring Destiny on here. I was gonna say that would be a good one, but someone said they would bring Melody on this show. And I was laughing so hard because I was like, I can
Replace
see
Tiffany
Melody.
with Melody so we get a real entrepreneur.
I would say bring add Melody and keep Tiffany because I can see them being buddy buddy. I know she's not working with Carlos, but I think that that would be funny though to see Melody on this show. I would gag if Melody came on this show and help Carlos build it up because you know this is going to be a mess. There's way too much controversy that actually would give Tiffany another ally versus Stormy. It is. I don't know. I could see this big. Not saying coleslaw over there, girl. Keep coleslaw where she at, which is hidden. That's all. But yeah, I feel like they have a good show. They have a good concept. I do see it coming back, but it has to come back strong. I needed to come back a little bit stronger, meaning that I don't, I just feel like this cast, there's something missing. And that's why I posed that question, y'all. Based on this reunion, there is something missing. I can't put my finger, and no, it's not Sienna and it's not
It's
Miss
the
Mayer's
fact that
wife.
there are not enough those. I think the second part that's missing, though I love Stormy, why is she in Birmingham when she lives in Huntsville? And I definitely think they need to add more people heavier in business or maybe in different sorts of business that will take them places that are interesting for us to see. No disrespect to Birmingham and the great people in history that's there. There's nothing that interesting that's there that would make for a good TV show. I get what Carlos is trying to do, saving money, filming in the great state of Alabama, but you got to go places where there's like actually stuff to do. Like if the group taking a trip to Atlanta counts as a cast trip, you're in the wrong city. Just saying.
Well, there we have it, y'all. But yeah, I definitely see them coming back, but I need them to do something stronger. I need something yeah, nothing is good going there. Um who is Sinetta for real? She was a friend of the show that was so damn messy but quiet. I've never seen such a thing in all of my life. Because every time someone said there was a conflict, she's somewhere there. If you watch the show, Shani, she was the lady with the red wig. It was either in a bang or it was parted down the middle. I hope that answers your question because that's the best way to describe Sienna. Oh, get the right people on the show for us, the hidden gems of the city. I don't think they will come on a Carlos King show. Like, I was surprised Miss Mayer's wife came on the show. And I feel like she did that as a favor to Tiffany. Something gives me that her and Tiffany made a pact as friends that whenever the situation is dire and they need each other, they're going to be there for each other, no matter the circumstances. And I think that's what this is because you could have told me the mayor's wife was this fucking messy. You could have told me this and I actually believed you. And this I didn't see with my own eyes. So I just feel like there's no hidden gems that are going to be on this show that are going to come out here. And I think this is the perfect segment, as controversial as Birmingham seems to be, despite what they tried to sell us. Thank you to Fumi with this whole house situation. Thanks to your production company got a rep. I don't think they will. I really don't think. Like to me, the best shows that Carlos has had are all one season wonders. It's the ones he keeps bringing back that are just so controversial to us, like as beings and as people who have common sense and know better. That's all I'm gonna say. But that was it, y'all. That was Bell Collective Birmingham. I hope they come back, but I hope they come back stronger, you know, redefine, new dynamic. I need at least two more new people. And honestly, they can get rid of one of the standing five. I'm fine. I think Amber could be the one that should go because it's too much of conflict to have her here. It just really is. But that's it, you guys. We're going to go ahead and end the live. Shout out to my replay gang. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. we're going to go ahead and in about 30 minutes be on our joint channel, Watch Your Best Friends. So you guys be on the lookout for that. You will know best if you are subscribed to the channel, because you will see the live being ready to enter. Me and Mrs. Best will be there very shortly. Thank you guys so much once again, and I hope to see you guys there. Bye-bye now.